forward. That is Congressman Brad Wenstrup, who also was in Iraq. And Representative Wenstrup, welcome again to the Bill Cunningham Show this Sunday night. And give me your thoughts, first of all. I was able to glean some of your comments. That is a column that you've put together, I guess, tonight, Freedom's Insurance Policy, your Memorial Day expression of freedom and how we risk losing it, remarking that President Ronald Reagan said America is 20 years from losing the Constitution, losing our freedom, and that was in a time when social media did not exist. Things are sped up today, but give me your thoughts on Memorial Day and those you served with in Iraq that are not with us anymore.
Well, you know, as we approach Memorial Day, and I think about these people often that I served with and some that didn't make it home. You know, I think about someone like James McNaughton, who was a reservist, Army reservist, and a New York City policeman. And one day he served on our base, and one day he was tasked with a mission that it could be him or two other sergeants. He chose to go on this mission because the other two had children. And on that mission, James McNaughton was hit and killed by a sniper. And today there's two families that have their father because of James McNaughton. And, you know, I could go on and on with stories like this, people I served with. You know, the common thread since our inception as a country, the common thread that we all fought for was for freedom. And so when you start to lose freedom, when you feel like your country is drifting away from being the free and independent country that it once was, it makes it tougher, and it's much sadder for those that have served. You know, we go out to defend truth, justice, the American way. That's our motivation. That's the reason you say, I will do this. And you know what? As a country, too, we take an oath to the United States Constitution first. Right. To support and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Right. And you're willing to give of your life to do this. That's what Memorial Day is about, to remember those that have done this. You know, people forget that there is evil all around the world, and we go to war to have a world where there's less dictators and more freedom. And when we start to see that drift away, that makes it tough. You know, I can remember seeing things where a Marine's hunched over, praying a rosary as we're taking his buddy back to the operating room. And, you know, when soldiers didn't make it, if they were in one piece enough, even though deceased, we'd lay them out, clean them out, lay them out underneath a flag in a plywood room, and they would come by and say goodbye and then go back and fight for freedom once more. You know, you don't forget those things. And, you know, for me, the things I can remember, too, are like in my mind, I'm thinking in just a few hours, somebody's going to get a knock on their door about their son or their husband or their other loved one, son or daughter, who just gave their life on behalf of freedom. That's what I think about. And, you know, we live in a country today that everything is being so politicized, and it's really a problem. Let's let this day be for what it is. Right. The other issues, the other political factors, that deserves another time. But if you respect freedom, you will give this day its justice and its due for those that have given their lives. And you're right. You know, the closest thing to those words from the veterans that served in them, they tell me Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan. And remember at the end of Saving Private Ryan, he says, earn this. And what he means is go out and earn this by living a good life and in respecting the freedom that you have obtained because of what others have done.
And in your district, we had about 8-9 years ago, during the height of what was going on in Iraq, that a man confesses to killing Army Sergeant Matt Malpin in Iraq. He was captured, 20 years old. He was captured alive. They did some video, and then his body was discovered much later because he wasn't killed in the line of duty. He was murdered. He was murdered by the enemy, and he was killed. And his family, especially his fathers, fought the good fight to get veterans more things over the last several years. But what are your thoughts on Sergeant Matt Malpin, who was kidnapped and then murdered in Iraq wearing the nation's colors?
Well, you know, I've gotten to know both Matt's mother and father since that time. When I went to Iraq, there were pictures of Matt Malpin posted around our base because he was still missing. We didn't know what his outcome actually was. We knew that he was captured and didn't hear anything else. And that meant a lot to me because I can remember seeing signs up around here in the greater Cincinnati area asking, pray for Matt Maupin, pray for Matt Maupin. And then I go to war, and there is his picture all over the place, and come home, and I got to know his parents. And certainly, I mean, what his father has been doing is tremendous. And there was finally closure, and I can remember the funeral down at Great American Ballpark. He was the symbol of the war and the selfless service that we see from all those that serve. And he was the symbol for the greater Cincinnati area for certain.
Yeah, and he represented thousands. I think about 4,500 or 5,000 were killed in Iraq and Afghanistan put together, were coming out of Afghanistan. And now there's an effort by some to politicize the Army, Navy, Air Force by doing things and having woke character and woke nature approach the military, which is the military's duty. The military's duty is to defend the nation's honor. One of the best expressions was General Douglas MacArthur when he received the Thayer Award, I think about 1962 at West Point. He gave the duty, honor, and country speech. That is the goal of the military, is to make sure we never have to go to war. And so when I look at the politicalization of the military by left-wingers who bring a woke character to the situation, I hear in memory's eye the words of Colin Powell, who became, of course, General National Security Advisor and then became Secretary of Defense. And he magnificently said that race does not play a factor whatsoever in the military. Look at me. And the fact of the matter is it doesn't. When you were in the military all those years, you still are in, I think, as a reservist, Brad Wenstrup. What role did race play when you were serving in Iraq?
None whatsoever. I'll tell you a telling story. When I came back, I gave a talk about my tour and heroes I served with, and one of my patients, African-American woman, a friend, she came to that talk and she said, I saw your pictures and I saw you with all the people you served with. She said, race didn't matter, did it?
No.
And I said, oh my gosh, no. I never even thought about it. You know, it wasn't until then, Bill, that I started thinking about it. I was chief of surgery of a combat support hospital with about 15 people underneath me. I was the only Caucasian. It never crossed my mind. We were brothers and sisters, and we were a family, and we were Americans first. And I guarantee you, we weren't all the same political party. It didn't matter. And, you know, so it's the politics should be out, and race has always been out. And I'm very disappointed when I hear that cultural race theory is now going to be taught at our academies. The idea of our academies and our military is to educate us to be leaders and to defend the country and deter any attacks on our country, but also for us to be unified as one and to understand what our founders said. Although we weren't perfect, our founders said we're all created equal, and that put us on the path to a great place. And I just fear that it's going backwards.
Yeah, it is. It's politicized. Almost every aspect of American life is now being politicized. And the military does not receive the kind of support it did before, because you can't be a Republican and a Democrat serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever the next battlefield might be. I pray there isn't one. But you can't be a Republican or Democrat. You can't serve based upon political affiliation. And CRT has no place in the military. And Colin Powell, I'm kind of a little surprised he's not come out to refute this to one extent or another, because this cannot be imposed. There can't be critical race theory available in the military and taught at West Point or Annapolis, for God's sakes. And that's why so many military men, black and white and Hispanic and otherwise Asian, are saying that we want to serve the nation, not a political philosophy and not a political party. I can only imagine, for example, if when Trump was in the White House, if he had the NRA flag, if he had the National Rifle Association flag flying somewhere on embassies, much like right now Biden is requesting and ordering that the Black Lives Matter flag fly at U.S. embassies and consulates, and I have some pictures, and to me that's no place to separate and divide, because I can recall Black Lives Matter activists in Dallas and Baton Rouge urging the murder of police officers. They were yelling, what do we want, dead cops, and when do we want them now? And that's not politics is not a place for the embassies, not a place in the military, and shouldn't be politicized by anyone, including Joe Biden.
Yeah, political organization does not belong on our flagpoles. You know, the most inclusive flag that ever existed in the history of mankind is the one with 50 stars and the stripes beside it. I mean, this is, without a doubt, the most inclusive nation. People come from all corners of the earth to be here. You know, again, when I served, I would tell people, well, if you carry some prejudice in your heart, you better take a look at who's defending your country, because we were white, black, brown, yellow, and red. We literally were. We had every color, actually. I never thought about it then, but it's only when I came home and people are talking more and more about it that it comes to the forefront. Those are my brothers and sisters. They always will be. We stay in touch today. I wish more people would understand what that feels like.
Yep. Well, tomorrow's Memorial Day. We'll see what occurs. Are you a little bit shocked and surprised the Vice President in her first tweet about Memorial Day saying, have a great weekend?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because it seems to me, one, she's obviously not recognizing the sacrifice of so many people that have given her so much freedom. And also, you know what, I hate to say it, but for a lot of people that are not going back to work because they make more because of unemployment insurance, this weekend's no different than the weekend before or the weekend before that.
Well, we have 16.5 million collecting unemployment benefits in America, and there's at least 8.5 million jobs that can't be filled, and that's the tip of the iceberg. So you have twice as many people getting unemployment than there are jobs available because they will not go to work because they're paid not to work. And now there's an effort and a push to extend it past September in some of the blue states and to keep it going. Keep it going. Right now, many red states, I think 18 of the 20 that have stopped it sometime in June or July are Republican governors. But the blue states, which have the worst economies now, do not want to end the unemployment benefits for God knows how long when there's at least 8.5 to 10 million jobs waiting to be filled, and they can't be filled because government pays people more money not to work.
The benefits were extended initially to get people through a crisis. We're beyond that crisis. The opportunity to go back to work is there, and we need to do that. And you know what? The country needs everyone to go back to work.
Yes.
That's the only way we can survive and to be on our way to economic stability. And so, I'm just asking people, please get back to work. The jobs are out there. We need you.
All right, Representative Brad Wenstrup, once again, thank you for coming on the Bill Cunningham Show. And as I often do, thank you for your service in the military. And I know you're a doctor that's been there. You know what's going on, also a representative in Washington. And Brad Wenstrup, thank you again for coming on the Bill Cunningham Show, and thank you for your service.
Always a pleasure. Thank you. God bless.
Let's continue with
Memorial
more.
Day.